Hey y'all, welcome to the 16th episode of the Yarn This podcast. I'm Shama, Jessie's Girl 84 on Ravelry and Instagram. You can find my Yarn This groups on Ravelry and Facebook. If this is your first time watching, thanks for giving me a shot. If you're one of my returning yarnies, thanks for coming back. Today is Tuesday, August 23rd, 2016. I had to stop and look because I was going to record last Friday, and I didn't get to. And then we were going to record Saturday and couldn't. And then again Sunday. And then I did record last night. And then I deleted half of it while I was trying to move it from my phone to my laptop. So, we're going to give this another shot. Anyway, so it is Tuesday, August 23rd, 2016. It is the end of the Olympics as of Sunday night, and I'm missing them. And it's only, like 29 days till fall now? I am so excited. As far as I'm concerned, there are only two acceptable seasons, and that's fall and winter. I like cooler times of the year. I like the holidays during those times of the year. So, yeah, that's my favorite time of year. My son has a group of friends coming over here in a few minutes, so I'm going to try to get through this. They were having a going away dinner for one of their friends, and the power station in their area caught on fire, everybody in that area. And one girl was fixing dinner, so it's all going to be moved to my house here in just a minute. And they're bringing the food and everything. So if we have interruptions, you'll understand, but I'll probably just keep on podcasting. Anyway, just giving you a heads up. Today's segments include Puppy Love, My Works in Progress. Another one, Bites the Dust, My Finished Objects. The final countdown, things that are coming up. I don't have any spinning this time, but I do have things that make you go, and it's a little bit different this time. It's about something we've already talked about, but I found out something interesting about one of our words. We are family, everything knitty, knitting friends, knitting groups, dyers, new books, new patterns, podcasts, and of course, acquisitions and new books. Then we have We Are Family. Oh, I'm sorry, I already said that. Then we have One Week, which is just miscellaneous things about my life. Sorry, y'all, I can't seem to talk today. Anyway, let's get started. Puppy Love, My Works in Progress. I'm still working on the Unicorn and Rainbow shawl. It's the Unicorn Party by Kathleen Dames. The yarn I'm using is Kimmerie's Knit Knacks in the Rainbow Connection Sparkly Fingering Weight. And I'm knitting this on size 6, 4.4 millimeter needles. I know I've been working on this for a while, but there's actually been progress made since the last time I recorded. There's a show that happens where my parents live every year in the fall, or about in August, late summer. And it's put on by mostly a bunch of people that go to church with them. And they rent out the civic center in town, and people come from all over town, and it's just an entertaining little show. It's clean and it's family friendly. And so anyway, while I was there, I couldn't work on my other things because it's in the dark and all, and I wanted to pay attention to the show. So I worked on this and I made some actual progress. I still have a long way to go. There's at least probably 62 grams still left in this 100-gram skein, but that's okay. I'm enjoying knitting it more now than I have since I cast on, just because it's so beautiful. So I've put this little stitch, well, this is not a progress keeper, but I love this stitch marker, so I just put it on a little safety pin. I can't think what you call these. And you can see I've gone about 3 rows since then. But this will be something I'll keep pulling out, and hopefully I'll have it done before it gets really cool. My next work in progress is my happy knitting memories blanket. I told y'all I couldn't talk today. I had put a couple of squares, or one square on, and was almost through with the second square before the Olympics started, and I discovered that I had put, well, what I did, and probably everybody does this, as I started with this square on the bottom, and then I did this square second, and so from there it's been bottom, bottom row, second row, all the way across. Well, for some reason, I decided to knit a square starting up here, and then I was knitting this one down here, and I looked, and it was this ridge right here was going this direction. Well, I couldn't live with that, so I frogged both of them, and this was the one that had been on top. Here's the funny thing. I just went ahead and reused the yarn that I had on there, that I had already knit with, and it ended before I got to the end, and I had to add on a little bit more yarn. I don't know why in the world I didn't have enough yarn this time. Who knows? Maybe more relaxed, maybe, I don't know. So then today I cast on, oh, and by the way, this is Brazen Stitchery. You'll shoot your eye out. You saw that in my Christmas socks that I knit last December. But see, the next section is this right here, a speckled section. So I will be doing another square with this just so I can get a full section with the speckled yarn. I love this. I love this a lot. Now this one, last week, my knitting group did a mini skein swap, and I'll show you what what I got out of that later. But I went ahead and cast on for one with that today. And you can't see this. It's not real sparkly, but it's sparkly. It's Western Sky Knits. My friend Michelle gave me this one, but she could not remember the colorway. And I tried to find it today on Ravelry, but I couldn't find it. I'm sure I'll come up with it eventually. But anyway, so here I am. I'm fixing to cast on another one, and I'm back to moving on this. I want to make some progress, but I made no progress during the Olympics, and that's fine. I'm not even upset about that because I was working on something else, which you'll see in a few minutes. Okay, so the last thing that I'm working on is still my Sherlock socks, Sherlock and Coffee socks, which I had cast on before the Olympics started. And so the other day I went ahead and did the Fish Lips Kiss heel. And as I started to go up, I realized I don't know where I am. I have a missing stitch, and it doesn't appear to be dropped anywhere. I've looked and looked, and I can't find a dropped stitch. But then I have this big hole right here. Not exactly sure what I'm going to do. I imagine I'll cheat, and I will figure out what row I ended on, what round I ended on, and I will just come back later and sew up that hole. Because I did something, but anyway, so that's where I am on my second Sherlock and Coffee socks. I really would love to have these finished and be cast on for my next pair of socks by the end of the weekend. Oh, wait, it's just Tuesday. Yeah, definitely by the weekend. So, this is for the Knit Along on the Vegan Jillies Knitting Broomstick podcast, and it's the Coffee with Cece Knit Along, and it's from the Coffee with Cece book. Sorry, I forgot to bring it up here. Here it is. And these, like I said, are the caramel latte, right? Caramel latte socks. Yes. So that's what they look like. It's a really fun pattern, and I'm just following the chart on that. Now, that's all that I have in progress, but I finished one thing, and only one thing, but that's okay because it was my Ravelinix project, and it also had a dual knit along that I was knitting for. Cece, Java Pearl, put out a new pattern recently called Where You Lead, I Will Follow, and it's a Gilmore Girls pattern. And they're having a Gilmore Girls knit along. She and Cece both are having it on their podcast groups on Ravelry.
Less than 10 minutes away.
Okay. So this, like I said, this pattern is by Cece Almond, Java Pearl. I named mine I Will Follow Michael Phelps socks because I am a huge Michael Phelps fan. And the spelling of follow is Phollow because, because I'm obsessed. Anyway, the yarn I used is some that I've had for quite a while. Deep stash, kind of. I got it from Mustache Yarns. It was my very first skein of Mustache. She was still just doing this kind of for fun. And I met up with her for the very first time at the Kid and You Fiber Festival in Bernie. And a bunch of us said, oh, do you have any of your yarn with you? And she said, oh, in my bag. Let's go outside. Because, of course, there were vendors and booths and everything. Vendors and booths. Can't talk. So we went outside. And I was able to buy one skein from her. And it was her original Unicorn Apocalypse. Well, I cast on for a pair of socks out of this a long time ago. And I kept making mistakes and making mistakes. And finally I thought, you know, I like the pattern. I love the yarn. And I just want to knit these socks. So I okay, I found another problem. What is wrong with me? Anyway, so here they are in all their beautiful unicorn sparkliness. Oh, isn't that the most beautiful yarn? It's amazing. And here is the design. Y'all, if there has ever been potato chip knitting, this is it. I mean, no, it's not something I could just do without looking at a pattern, but I wrote it out on index cards, 4 rounds per index card, and I got these knocked out quickly. I did make one mistake right back here. When you're doing Fish Lips Kiss, you're supposed to just do the back of the leg and still in stockinette once you finish the heel to kind of finish it. Make it a complete heel, and I forgot. Wait, where'd it go? And I started the pattern right here. Good grief, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Here you go. There it is. So I just left it. It doesn't even go down in my shoes, so I'm not worried about it getting worn and rubbed. Anyway, so those are I Will Follow Michael Phelps, a.k.a. Where You Lead, I Will Follow socks. Awesome knit-along, y'all. This knit-along is actually going to go until the end of September, so if you want to join, go to CC's group, her Geeky Girls podcast group, and then Knitting Broomstick podcast group. The chatter thread is on Jilly's, and then CC has the finished object thread on her group. I also added these into the Dobby Socks Knit Along, and these are the hashtags, and that's for little bobbins. This is for using old yarn. So, of course, like I said, I've had this for a few years, and I was able to do that in the Dobby Socks Knit Along. The other hashtag is Gilmore GG TKB. Oh, I hope I wrote that down right. And, of course, my Ravel Linux and Team Sasquatch is who I was on doing the sock put event. This is also can be entered in the TKB Sock Club 2016 as well as the GGK Summertime 16. So this got entered into a bunch of cows. I'm very excited. I don't think I've ever been in that many cows. Maybe total ever, and all at once is crazy. So anyway, I'm very, very happy with my socks. Now, on to the final countdown. What's coming up? Well, since we last spoke, I heard about the Periscoping Sisters, and I'm sure I'm the last person on earth to watch their podcast. But if you haven't seen it, you need to go find the Periscoping Sisters on YouTube. They're amazing. They are 2 of 3 sisters. Their oldest sister, I think they're a year apart each, but their oldest sister died on her 34th birthday. And they talk about that on the podcast. And they really love and miss her. It's not a sad podcast. They're funny, crazy girls. But they do things in memory of her. And they talk about her. And they laugh about things that she did and memories that they have. So like I said, it's not at all sad. But one of the patterns that Amy, Indigo Amy on Ravelry, was one of the girls. She just recently designed a cowl called Flower Box Cowl because their sister loved her flowers and gardening, and she apparently had window boxes on her house. So this is knit out of worsted weight yarn, a solid and a variegated. Let's see, can you see that? Yeah. It is knit, I believe, on size, since I just podcasted this yesterday, size 5, 3.75 millimeter needles. And it only takes 175 to 200 yards. Well, I decided, I've had this for a while. This is Knit Picks Preciosa Tonal in the Pokeberry. So this is going to be my solid colorway. And I also have some other Knit Picks. This is the Chroma Worsted in the Pegasus colorway. I think these will go really, really well together because you've got some like lime green and neon, and then some like kind of a turquoise, and then like a purpley color in here, and a blue. So, oh, and here's a really pretty blue here. I'm really, really excited to get this started. And who knows, I might knit some for Christmas. I really am excited about that. And they have some other lovely patterns. They don't have a ton up. Oh, I didn't tell you the other girl. The other sister's name is Debbie, but we'll talk about them. Well, no, I guess I won't. I already covered it. I was going to talk about them in We Are Family. I'm totally disorganized today. But anyway, so Periscoping Sisters, go look at their podcast, watch their podcast, and go look for their patterns. Like I said, Debbie Reese and Indigo Amy on Ravelry are their names. The next project that's coming up pretty soon, as a matter of fact, as soon as I finish my, my Sherlock Holmes socks, is the Strawberries and Cream Frappe socks, again from the Coffee with Cece book. This will be the 5th of the 6 pairs of socks from this book. And then all I'll have is the shawl. I think I showed y'all this last time, but I'm not sure. This is the yarn I'm going to use. It's pinks and reds, obviously. Beautiful, beautiful. This is a Knitting Rose yarn. Knitting Rose podcast, Lise of the Knitting Rose podcast. This is her Blossom sock yarn in the Casino colorway. And I originally got this to do Rose Tyler socks. But, you know, I can always get more pink yarn. I want to use this for the Strawberries and Cream Frappe socks. These will be definitely well underway by the time I podcast next. And then I've been saying for a while I was going to do the Hitafude, and I still am. I've actually caked up the yarn. Woo! Look at that. It's dark, but it's beautiful. And I've already got it in a project bag. I've got my notions bag in here, and I've got the yarn for the provisional cast on, and a crochet hook and everything. So, yep, there you go. Those are the things that, oh wait, I do have one other project coming up. Hopefully done by the time I come back and talk to y'all again. I found that on the Knit Simple magazine, knitting magazine the other day, they had these cute, cute little bunny slippers. I love slippers. And I'll knit myself a pair from time to time. And these are knit on a bulky yarn. And I just happened to have to place another Knit Picks order the other day. And I ordered their new bulky yarn. Just a minute. Sorry. So that order will be here by the end of this week, and I will have it to show you next time. When I was knitting my Michael Phelps socks for the Ravelinics, I cast on the first weekend. I was at my parents' helping take care of my niece, and we had the dog with us. And the dog jumped up on the couch, and then my niece was running after her. Well, when the dog jumped on the couch, she knocked my sock off on the floor. And Etta, like I said, she's just 3. She was running after her and stepped on the sock, and that was the first needle that got broken in that project. Well, when I got back, I was knitting, and there's a knit 3 together a few times in this project, and one of my wooden needles just snapped. I thought, oh my goodness, that's 2 needles. So I just went ahead and got one of my old metal needles, which I don't use anymore, but that's another story. But I used them for the knit 3 together during this project. But I was knitting along, and again, a third one broke. So anyway, I went ahead and ordered a couple of more sets because I use my 1.5s all the time, 2.5 millimeters, all of my socks. So when I did that, I couldn't just not get the free shipping. I had to order some yarn, you know. And I'll show you that next time. Okay. Things that make you go, This time, we're going to go back to a phrase that we've already talked about before, a term, tink. If you recall, it's knitting backwards to fix a mistake. Well, tink has now officially been added to the Oxford Dictionary. I thought that was so cool. Their definition is undo a row of knitting one stitch at a time in order to correct a mistake. Sometimes for me it's more than one row. Maybe I'm doing something even worse than most people do. And then reversal of knit is another thing that they used. And apparently tink has been around since the 90s. But since I've only been knitting for about 15 years now, I didn't know about it back then. And I didn't even know about it when I first started knitting. I had to get knitting friends first to find that out. So that's the thing that makes you go, Next week, we'll get back to new terms. We are family. Okay, I've already talked about the periscoping sisters, so I'll go ahead and skip over them, but do give them a shot. They're awesome. The next thing I wanted to talk about was a new book I ordered after the Tour de Fleece. It was a book that I found out about. It was a pre-order, and it's Yarnitecture by Jillian Marino. Now, because of the Olympics and all my crazy knitting and watching, I haven't had a chance to really read this book. I read a couple of pages, but this is what it looks like. It is a knitter's guide to spinning, building exactly the yarn you want. In each chapter, it assumes that you already know how to spin, apparently, but it's like building a house. So chapter 1 is the blueprint, your yarn vision. Chapter 2 is the foundation, sheep breeds and beyond, which I really am interested in. I'd like to know more about how the different fibers spin up. Chapter 3 is the frame, fiber prep. Chapter 4 is the walls, drafting, which I think I need some help on, because I'll end up with like unspun sections because of the way I draft. Anyway, chapter 5 is the roof or plying. Chapter 6 is the paint, color. She talks about colored fiber and how to spin it to get what you want color-wise. Chapter 7, the front door finishing. Chapter 8, the landscaping, knitting with your hand spun. And she talks about how to specifically spin to get what you want your yarn to be like, so you can knit a shawl or a sweater or socks or whatever. Right now, I might want to slap some of my hand spun into a hat sometime or something. But I'm not nearly good enough to spin for a project yet. And then the last chapter, chapter 9, is housewarming, and that's 12 patterns using your hand spun yarn. So I think I'm really going to learn a lot from this book. I'm going to have to figure out how to take the notes I want, because this is a beautiful, nice book. It wasn't very expensive, but it's got that shiny paper, slick paper. And so if I highlight it, first of all, it's going to mess up the look of the book, and second of all, it's going to smear. But I was going to tell you a couple other things. There are 2 forewords in this book. One is by Clara Parks, and the other is by J.C. Boggs. And then there's the intro by Jillian herself. And anyway, if you're either a beginning spinner or maybe even an experienced spinner, you might really get a lot out of this book, Yarnitecture by Jillian Marino. Well, I like to have new stuff to show y'all, and that was new. But I decided I might go through some of my books. I have quite a collection of knitting books you can see over there, and some these up here, and all those over there. I mostly buy just single patterns now, but I still do buy books like that. But I bought a book a few years ago, knowing I probably would never knit anything out of it. But I had several reasons for buying it. Number one, I was looking at Tom Baker. This was after my Doctor Who obsession started. And so I was looking him up on IMDb, and I discovered that he at one point was married to this girl named Lala Ward. I guess that's how you say her name, Lala. And so I looked her up. She was an actress, and actually she was on Doctor Who. I feel like she must have been a companion, although I haven't seen any episodes with her yet. Anyway, in the mid-'80s, she wrote 2 knitting books. Maybe even 3, but at least 2. And I had decided, oh, well, I have to have that book. I mean, this is the doctor's wife, right? So I got on eBay and I found it for really, really cheap, and I ordered it. Now, remember, this is 1985, so it's not anything most people are going to want to wear these days. However, I'm kind of thinking I might. Here's the cover. Anyway, that's Lala. She was adorable, and actually I looked her up to see what she looked like today, and she's still adorable. But there are all kinds of animals, and Tarja knit into sweaters. My favorite is the flamingo, as always, but I wanted to show you a couple of others. Let's see, the cow, so cute. And yes, I know, like I said, I know these are outdated, but I mean, so what? If we want to knit a cow sweater, we should knit a cow sweater, right? And here's a, oh, I don't think that's quite as cute. But towards the back, she has, oh yeah, a penguin and a penguin chick. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. But my favorite is the flamingo. And there are actually two sweaters. There's a flamingo one and a whale one on this. Here's the whale. But here's the flamingo. And see, I like this little sweater. It doesn't have ribbing at the bottom. I don't like ribbing. I do not need ribbing with my hips. And if I knit this, I would probably knit the sleeves all the way down to my wrist. But I think this is really, really cute. And on the back, you can see that the flamingo's neck wraps around the back of your sweater, around your neck, sort of. So that would be the closest I would ever get to having my own flamingo. And they kind of stink anyway, so who would want one in their yard? But anyway, so I just wanted to show y'all that. But I may have ordered her other book today because I found it in one of the used bookstores from Amazon. So that should be, well, it said it would be here sometime between September 20th and October 3rd. So we've got something to look forward to in one of our future podcasts. And that one is about birds. So you'll see that one when it comes in. Since the last time I podcasted, I had my oldest work in progress, which was probably almost 4 years old. It was a shawl I cast on for a few years ago, and it was a Christmas one because I used Christmas yarn. Well, I had knitted up quickly, and I was down to the edging, which was only like 21 rows or something like that. And I got 3 rows in and discovered I had made a mistake, but I couldn't find it. So I tinked back to just those 3 rows, and I started up again, and I got to the end of row 3 and discovered I had made the same mistake, or a mistake again. So I decided it was so close to Christmas, and I was doing my Christmas knitting anyway, that I would just put it away and finish it the next Christmas. Well, you imagine, next Christmas came around. Oh, I didn't ever finish that shawl. It's too late now. I'm doing another Christmas knitting. And then last year, with all the stuff after the wreck, I didn't even think about it. So I got it out, and I thought, well, maybe I'll go ahead and finish it now, and then I can wear it this Christmas. And when I pulled it out, I discovered that I never set up a project page on Ravelry, and I can't remember the name of the pattern at all. So, just like with the socks that I was knitting with out of this yarn, I went ahead and just frogged it. And I'm not upset at all, because I actually have 900 yards of this. This would make an amazing, amazing, sparkly, beautiful Christmas sweater. Or 2 pairs of Christmas socks, who knows. This is No Maker's fingering, it's her fingering weight yarn, and Sparkle Gnome is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% sparkle. And it's the To Be Jolly colorway. So, yeah. This has been frogged, and it is awaiting a beautiful Christmas project to be knit out of, or knit into, that is. I'm kind of thinking about another knit along that's coming up in December, put on again by Vegan Jilly and CC Almond, or Java Pearl. CC and Dammy are going to be designing a set of Christmas, like a collection of Christmas patterns, and they're going to be called White Christmas. And Knitting Broomstick is going to be having a White Christmas knit along. It's going to start December 1st and go to the end of January, I believe. So I plan to be done with everything except maybe some Christmas knitting, and I'm going to buy those patterns and join in on that knit along. I'm really, really excited about it. White Christmas is my favorite Christmas movie. I've been watching it every Christmas since I was a little kid. So hang on just a minute. I'm going to pause again and I'll be back. Okay, there's fixing to be a bunch of people walking in, but that's okay. I'm just going to talk about the fiber festivals that we have coming up. The first one is the East Texas Fiber Festival in Lindale, and that's only one day on November 5th. And that's the one that we went to last year, and it was freezing cold, and there were no doors or windows in the building. And we were sitting like in the breezeway between two big doors. Apparently they have put in doors and windows since we were last there, and so even if it's cold, we'll be comfortable this year. But even so, you know, it was totally worth it. It was so much fun and so rustic. And Lindale is kind of north of Tyler a little bit on 20, between Tyler and Dallas, but much, much closer to Tyler. So we're really looking forward to that. And then the very next weekend, Kim got into the Kid and You in Bernie. And that one is a Friday to Sunday show. And we will be there all 3 days. We'll have a booth set up, and we'll be there. And if you're there, come by and give us, say something to us, because we'd love to meet you. Okay, the last thing I wanted to talk about in We Are Family is the mini skein swap I was in last Thursday night with my knitting group. One of our younger members is going back to start her next semester of college, and we had already started talking about wanting to do this. We decided to go ahead and get it done, for her at least, before she left. So after we got there, a bunch of us decided, yeah, we'll just go ahead and exchange with each other. And I ended up getting some awesome yarn. This one is from my friend Julia. This is Mustache, and this is the Anna and Elsa colorway. I don't know what base it's on. I know it's fingering, of course. I think it's the perfect sock because she has it divided in half, and so that if you start each skein, your socks will match perfectly. So this is going in really soon because Elsa and Anna, and it makes me think of my niece because our favorite song to sing is Let It Go. Then the next one, this one came from Erin. I cannot remember what she told me this was. I put it in my phone and I'll check it out. So when I knit this in, I'll tell you. But isn't it beautiful? It's right up my alley. She said she knew it would be. So that's why she gave me that. Oh, Sue. Sue gave all of us the most amazing ones. She had made a copy of the label of the yarn. This is Knitted Wit, Bling Base, her Hyacinth colorway. And it's Sue's color is purple. So she gave us all some purple. And look at this beautiful stitch markers she attached. So as soon as I start, look at that. Oops. Look at that. Turn it around a little bit. You can see some of the specklies in there. Oh, I love that stitch marker. Anyway, so I will be adding that to my project when I get to that skein. This was from Claire, the girl that's going back to school, and she said she thought I would like this because it's Tardis Blue. And again, I wrote down what it was, but I can't remember. And I got this one from her mom. It's grays and kind of like a brick red and like a black. So, oh, and a little blue too. This one's going to be awesome. I'm not sure where I'm going to put this one yet, but it'll be going in my blanket pretty quickly. And then the last two I actually got from the same person. This is from Annette. This is from Kim. I believe this is Blue Bonnet. I keep bumping the table, sorry. I believe this is the Blue Bonnet colorway that Kim Marie 73 dyes. And then the last one I got also from Annette. This is more Brazen Stitchery. Look at that, y'all. Pot of gold. See how sparkly it is? Oh, I love this yarn. So I'm excited about putting all of these in. And plus, you know, it makes me think of my friends. So this is going to be exciting. Okay, we're down to the last section, which is 1 week, miscellaneous things about my life. first thing I want to talk about is this little thing that's been happening to me for about the last 2.5 or so years. I first noticed it right after I had my weight loss surgery. We went to a concert, and we were on the floor, so we were standing, and I was fine through the first band, and I was actually fine through the second band, but by the time the third band came in, we were so crowded that we couldn't move. And I started feeling like sweaty, and not because of the crowd, because it was freezing cold that night. We were inside, but it was freezing. And I got dizzy. I felt like I was going to pass out. I just couldn't take it. My back was killing me, and I thought, well, you know, it's just been a couple of weeks since the surgery, because we had actually bought the tickets before the surgery. And so I kept having to go back outside and get cold and come back in and lean against the wall, and it was like dramatic. But that has happened to me on more than one occasion since then, quite a few times. Well, the other night I was in line at Walmart, and we were in line forever. It was the Friday night before school started, so everybody, I didn't even think about it. Everybody was there getting their school supplies. And we were in line so long. And bless her heart, our cashier was very sweet, but she was very, very slow. So anyway, by the time we got through and headed out to the car, this had hit me again, this nausea thing. This time there were no crowds. I was even thinking it was because of my claustrophobia. So when I got home, I said something about it on Facebook, and one of my friends looked it up. And it turns out it's got a name. It's called orthostatic intolerance. Now, apparently some people have it really bad. There are two kinds. There's acute and chronic. And I only have 2 of the symptoms from each of those, and that's it. With the acute, you can have heart palpitations and sweating, which, like I said, I've had the sweating. And with the chronic, you have sensitivity to heat, which I have on a good day. I mean, even without that, I cannot tolerate the heat. And then, like I said, the nausea. So it's really interesting, because why did this suddenly hit me? But the thing that really got me was when my younger son said, yeah, that happens to him too. I didn't even realize he had that too. So, I just thought that was interesting. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was my podcast music. I hadn't been able to put it in for a while, but I put it back in, and I've had some people say they think it's cool, but I also had some people say they hate it. My son wrote that for me, and he wrote the lyrics and the music, but it's done in metal, and that's his genre. And since my podcast is pretty much 80s based, I'm kind of thinking about dropping it till I can convince him to redo it for me in a more 80s style. So I'm not going to have any music at the end for a while. I mean, I hadn't had it for a while until I figured it out anyway. But I don't know. I really want to use it because he wrote it for me, but I would really like it to be, you know, toned down, because I'm really not a death metal music person. Okay, let's see. Oh yes, the Olympics. I started talking about that earlier. Did y'all watch the Olympics? Weren't they amazing? Michael Phelps and our whole swim team, they were just crazy good. I was impressed with how good they were, and how they didn't ever seem to get the big head, except for, of course, Ryan Lochte, but I think he's a hopeless case anyway. What is that little girl's name? I can't remember. The one that was so good, and she just beat everybody by a mile in one of hers. But it's not just her. The gymnastics, of course. I love the gymnastics. Carrie Walsh Jennings. I love her. I was very heartbroken and disappointed about what happened to her. But you know, I watched some of the track and field. I mean, there's only so much I want to watch somebody run. If it's short distances or like the relays, oh, those relays were crazy awesome. But I found out a couple of other things that I had never watched before, that I only watched a little bit of, but I think I'd like to watch a little bit more. And one is rugby. I'd never seen any of it, and it looks really interesting. I mean, I knew that it was a tough game, that they don't wear any padding, and they hit each other hard, but I thought that was really cool. And then I saw some of the water polo, the girls' water polo anyway, and I thought that was really amazing. Our little goalie was fabulous. So anyway, congratulations to all our athletes. Thanks for representing our country so well, except for Ryan. And I cannot wait now until the next Olympics, which is less than a year and a half away because we've got winter. So I hope you all enjoyed it too, and I hope you got your Ravelinics knitting finished. Let's see. Well, I guess that's all I'm going to talk about today. Hopefully I can be back in 2 weeks. My schedule is just not my own. My husband's schedule is different every month, and Logan's schedule is different from week to week and day to day. I mean, I know 1 week at a time what it's going to be, but it's not the same every week. So, and since I'm still having to take him back and forth to work since he doesn't have a car, I would like to say, hey, I'm gonna podcast every 2 weeks on this day, but I just can't do that. So when I don't get around to it as quickly as I'd like to, you'll know what's going on. Anyway, I plan to see you again in a couple of weeks, and until then, knit on.